Hi everybody, I'm Nate with Stained Glass Stories, here today to talk about the new Cure album. Songs of a Lost World was released earlier this month, 16 years after their previous record. It's hard to believe it's been this long, and it's certainly something that has been on the mind of the legendary Robert Smith. But before I get too ahead of myself regarding its themes and music, I want to discuss the background leading up to this album. This long-awaited album has been in the making for at least the last 5 years, with Smith anticipating a release date in 2019. While COVID certainly could have been a reason for some of the delay, Smith has acknowledged his desire to re-record the songs, setting back the date. He's even quoted as saying, "I keep going back over and redoing them," which is silly. At some point, I have to say that's it. It's very much on the darker side of the spectrum. Off the back of the album, Smith has announced a 5-year plan that will include a follow-up album, touring, a documentary, and retirement. At that point, it will have been 50 years since their debut album was released, and Smith will be 70. Regardless of what the future holds, The Cure has nothing left to prove as one of the most influential groups of all time. What I was immediately struck by when listening to Songs of a Lost World is the glorious cinematic quality these 8 tracks hold. There's a dark, atmospheric sound that is both epic and mournful, slowly swirling into a dreamy sense of isolation. Smith himself has compared its sound to Disintegration, but I think it's even sonically heavier and more emotional. The opener, Alone, immediately pulls you in with its cloudy density and flourishing keyboards. Everything sounds wonderful, whether it be the slow but intense drumming, fizzy guitar riffs, or Smith's wistful vocals. While his voice impressively sounds just as strong as it did decades ago, I think that one can hear the emotional weight in his vocals. And Nothing Is Forever is shaped by orchestral synths and a funeral-like piano. The guitars and drums come into the mix and sound equally heavy, further enhanced by the moody bass. One can hear how each sound and instrument contributes to the gloomy sound, and I think it reflects the amount of time and thought Smith put into this album. A Fraile Thing is one of my favorites on the album, particularly the rumbling bass and the sense of emotional urgency in Smith's voice. The guitars on Warsong absolutely roar, creating a sense of doom, and the drums are like bombs exploding with noise. The following song, Drone No Drone, continues in the path of Warsong. It's a complete cacophony of screeching guitar noise. It's further colored by eerie synths. The mood shifts a bit in I Can Never Say Goodbye with its airy, sorrowful sound. All I Ever Am is a bit more brisk, but still holds the desolate mood that persists throughout. The album concludes with Endsong, a 10-minute epic that sounds both urgent and eternal. While the record is rife with feeling, Endsong is the most emotionally intense. The flood of noise serenades the listener for the first 6 minutes until it washes away as Smith's vocals enter. This song can be particularly difficult to Cure fans, similar to David Bowie's I Can't Give Everything Away or Johnny Cash's Hurt. If you haven't heard this song, just be prepared for that level of emotion. One can hear Smith pondering his own mortality, a theme that is very much present throughout this entire album. Not only has keyboardist Roger O'Donnell been diagnosed with an aggressive form of lymphoma, but Robert Smith has lost both his parents and his brother in the time leading up to this album. In Nothing Is Forever, Smith declares that "My world has grown old, and promise you'll be with me in the end." I Can Never Say Goodbye is an emotional ode to Smith's lost brother and the night he passed. Some of the heaviest lyricism, though, comes in the final track, as Smith sings, "I'm outside in the dark, wondering how I got so old." Needless to say, Songs of a Lost World is a deeply personal album that reflects on how life passes by all too quickly. And I think this quality makes it devastatingly universal. While we may come from different locations and generations, I've certainly felt the pain from a childhood memory, knowing that it's impossible to go back into that world. There's a sense of anxiety about the future, as this album is a powerful reminder of the fragility of life and how quickly it can change. We don't know what tomorrow will bring, and who will be with us in the end, leading to a feeling of isolation and even helplessness. This is one of the most gorgeously heartbreaking albums I've ever heard, and it's a triumphant return for the group that tops off their legacy in music history. So guys, hug all your loved ones, live every day to the fullest, and listen to The Cure. Stay dreamy, everyone.